right, I'd like to start off by saying Barak Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Chakudash. Welcome to another live lesson. This is basically a hit the button, dated February 6, 2026, the year of apostasy, sellouts and agents, and Jacob's trouble. I'm joined with the elder Yashawamba. And pretty much, we're on the road. So, I was, telling them that I was watching the video that he did earlier. And while I was watching the video he did earlier, pretty much there was a headline that he was, and pretty much the religion of the future for Esau in the world, according to them, is pretty much technocracy, which is ruled by tech. And that's pretty much what they want. And this is all part of that beast system. Now, as I was talking to the elder Yashawamba, I was telling them, just like we have a priesthood, and pretty much the nations have a priesthood, Esau's priesthood is, the people that are running, the system in the background. And then he mentioned,
like the Chaldeans,
the bankers,
yep, the bankers, yep.
So the bankers, they're funding it. They're the ones behind it, and then they have lesser priests under them, which pretty much make sure that the system is operational. And this is why the scriptures say we are not ignorant of Satan's devices, because we see the direction that everything's leading into. While the rest of the world is blinded, they don't see what's going on. We, are benefited to be able to see with the eye salve the things that are coming. And how this devil is setting up the platform. The altar pretty much is the whole world. Yeah. And this digital system is, you could say that's like their sanctuary. And everybody's gonna have to come to their sanctuary to offer their gifts, to offer their sacrifices. And and ultimately you have to take a device inserted in you, which is a micro C-hip, which is the MOTB, to be able to function in this system and to be able to worship at this devil's temple through technocracy. You want to say something?
That's going to be the oath.
Yep.
The oath you got to take is going to be the haragma. As in ancient times, it was a tattoo or a brand. And this modern day technocracy, the oath you're going to have to take to pledge your allegiance and acknowledge him as your God is going to be that C-hip, right? That digital all, right?
That's it. Yep. And let me see, I'm just trying to get this one precept real quick. I believe it's either Exodus or Deuteronomy. I thought it was Exodus. Just bear with me.
About the all in the ear?
Yeah.
I think it's Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy.
Because basically you're gonna, when you take that, basically you're acknowledging him as your master forever.
Yep.
And in the world that he's creating, he wants to put a patent on humans and basically, create his own version of human beings. And when we talk about these things, people, they mock, they say it's too far-fetched, but as we look at the world being set up before, this is exactly what they're doing. They did it with plants, they did it with animals.
Yep.
They're trying to do it with humans. Yeah,
because at the end of the day, it was Exodus 21. At the end of the day, and there's one in Deuteronomy 15 also. At the end of the day, when you see Esau doing certain things, like when they implanted these animals, that was pretty much a trial run just to see how effective the system worked. Everything they do trials. That's why the scriptures say they're wearied in the multitude of their counsels. And the purpose of that is anywhere that, once you got branded in the ancient world, anywhere that slave went, everyone knew that he belonged to somebody for life.
Yep.
And pretty much that's what that micro C-hip is all about. Letting you know that, okay, you belong to the bankers. And I wouldn't be surprised that if every micro C-hip out there had a special name or number to it that is attached to the different banking families, specifically, coded, number coded to be attached to specifically to each one of those, whether you're property of the Rothschild or the Rockefellers, or the DuPonts or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and that makes sense because when you look at cows and cattle, when they had those things hanging from their ear, all right, there's a number on it. So it would make sense that basically it's going to be the same situation. I'm almost positive that that's what it's going to be. There's a number because basically when you look up the word charagma, it says a mark or a brand put on horses.
Right.
That's one of the definitions. So this is the modern day version of that.
Yeah. Well, you know, like when you had beef with one of your neighbors, and y'all couldn't stand each other, what did the law say? If you find their oxen,
right,
you're supposed to do the right thing and send it back to him. So how would you know if that was his oxen?
That's it.
Or his horse, or whatever the case may be, because it was branded with his brand on it.
That's it.
And that's pretty much how we believe that's how the future is going to be, that each one of those devices, the micro C hip, is going to have special coding to it that's going to more than likely attach you to one of those different banking families. So this is Exodus 21:6. Then his master shall bring him. Matter of fact, I'm going to go to the 5th verse. You can read the whole thing. Pretty much it's speaking about a servant that becomes a indentured servant. For an Israelite indentured servant is one that will work for an Israelite master for 6 years, then be let loose on the 7th year, and then he will be able to go and start his own business. The reason why he went to his master was because he probably fell in decay, fell in debt, or whatever the case may be, lost everything, maybe in a tragedy, and he had to, go and sell himself to, a master in order to be able to, pay off his debts. Now, in the case of this particular individual here, when you had a master and the master gave you a wife and you had children by that woman, when you left after your time was up, your indentured servant time was up, you couldn't leave with your wife and your children. And Jake is attached to their woman and their children.
Yep.
So more than likely, I'll say like maybe 99% of the time, Jake would opt to be a servant for life so that he could stay with his wife and his children. And that's what the all was all about. So it says, Exodus 21:5, and if you want to say anything, just jump on in. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door. For what? So that you can have witnesses, right? He shall also bring him unto the door, or unto the door post, and his master
Yep.
shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever.
Yep.
You want to say something?
Even when you go to that book, the book of Galatians, where it says, I bear the marks.
Yep.
It talks about a badge of servitude. That's one of the definitions when you go further and looking down, I believe in the Greek lexicon or whatever. But yeah, it's a badge of servitude. So basically in the law, we had, because basically everything Esau does is a left-handed version of what the priesthood on the right hand stood for.
There you go.
That's basically what we're witnessing. Even with this digital utopia, he's basically trying to set himself up as a god, in the earth, to where he's going to be able to know everything, see everything. We're going to have that technology, but on the right-hand side, through the spirit. There's going to be chariots everywhere. We're going to know when the heathen go off. It's going to be we're going to automatically pick up on it and judge. They're trying to set up that scenario, but through left-hand means. And basically, there's going to come a point where, the digital ID is going to have to be inside of you.
Yep.
And that's the only way you're going to be able to operate on Earth. They're already telling you pretty much without merging with AI, you won't be able to keep up. I mean, there's already people saying, well, you know what they say, if you can't keep up, join in, some shit like that.
Right. If you can't beat them, join them. Yep.
Because people applying for jobs and they got the ability to download Spanish, French, you know what I'm saying? And here it is, your ass trying to look at a book and pregunta, try to figure out,
how to save
basically
something.
You won't be able to keep up. So ultimately, they're going to breed out normal humans.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, this is going to be their version of the serpent. This is the new serpent. That's why it calls them that old serpent. Basically, thou shalt be a god. He told the woman, if you eat this fruit, you should be like a god, knowing good and evil. This is the same concept. But now he's a 7-headed dragon with 10 horns.
Yep. And pretty much, this is just a continuation from the Garden of Eden.
That's it.
This is just the final climax. He's trying to get you, because back then, Yahweh and the angels put a kibosh on Adam to learn the tree of knowledge of good so that he couldn't live forever. Now Esau's trying to go beyond that and trying to make people live forever. You know, off of that same ideology, that same philosophy, going way back to the garden. Right? So in Galatians 6 and 17, it says, "From henceforth, let no man trouble me, for I bear in my body the marks of the Lord Yahushai." And then when you look up that word mark, there it goes to the word stigmata, or the word stigma. Right? Now, and I'm not online, so I can't go to the actual blue letter. So if brothers want to post it online, or post it in the chat, you can do that. But the one here, it says from the primary word stizo, to stick, that is prick. And that's the main thing, to prick. Stigma goes into pricking. Now, when you go to the number 666, it's kaisai stigma. But when you go to the actual Greek, it doesn't really break it down. It just tells you that those they represent different numbers in the Greek.
It said much rhetoric. This
right.
It's subject to much rhetoric and theories.
Yep. Well, but when you look at the actual word and what it means, this is why you got to go. The Spirit got to work with you to go through different scriptures to be able to find out that word stigma. And the Spirit made it to where that word stigma is actually in the Bible. Now you could have a spiritual stigma, where you're labeled as a particular individual. You're a mean person, or she's a hoe. That's a negative stigma. But you also have a physical stigma, which this devil plans on putting in you, which is that microcohip, which goes into the MOTB. You want to say something?
And in ancient times, like you see those Indians with dots on their head, that's their version of a mark.
There you go.
You would have in the Greeks, they made you brand. We found out some history about the Egyptians. They branded their slaves.
The ivy leaf.
You know what I'm saying? When you look at that movie, Antebellum, you ever seen that movie?
Yeah, you talking about with Janelle Monáe?
Yep. When they caught her from running away, they branded her.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So,
what was it, with an R or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So basically, this is an ancient concept, but now it's ultimately going digital.
There you go.
That's why it says, when you look up one of the definitions of charagma, it says a mark or something branded upon the foreheads of the followers of the Antichrist.
Yep.
Which that's BS, but that is an ancient system where you would put a mark on your body to show your allegiance to a particular god.
There you go. It was pretty much a branding, to show either what god you belong to, or commander, or master.
The Romans tattooed even their military men.
Yep.
Just like a lot of these people who go into the military today, they get that chip.
Oh, matter of fact, the brother put it on, bro. The brother, Elder Hawad, Strong's definition. He put charagma.
Yeah, the word mark in Galatians.
Yeah. But I'm gonna get these while he looks for that. The word mark in Galatians, or marks in Galatians 6 and 17. I'm gonna read this. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna read this precept. We got Ezekiel 3:17. "Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the and give them warning from me." What you're not getting from them other camps. Them other camps are just pretty much rocking you to sleep. They give you that sleeping potion, because a lot of them have been compromised. A lot of them are on the take. Right? It says now he went to the word charagma in the blue letter on the when you look up the word mark in Revelation 13:16. It says a scratch or etching, an example, stamp as a badge of servitude, or sculptured figure, statue, graven mark. So it's a badge. Like back in the days, when Judah was in captivity in America, what they give them slave passes. And whenever you got caught out there, if you didn't have your slave pass, what would happen? You would get lynched, you would get beaten, or you would get killed, or whatever the case may be. So you had to have that slave pass to navigate in the system that they had back then down in the South. Well, that's the new slave pass today is the microcohip, which is the mark, the charagma. Right? It says, then it goes to the root word karax, which goes into a graver, the tool or the person. An example, by implication, engraving, character. The figure, stamp. An example, by implication, engraving, The figure stamped exactly an exact copy or figurative representation express image. So you are identified now as property.
Yep.
This is why them Malhats call you Goyim.
Yep.
You want to say something? That's why they call you Goyim, which the word Goyim really means Gawayim. It doesn't really mean cattle, but they use it as for cattle. But it's when they call you Goyim, a heathen, they're pretty much saying that you are cattle. So pretty much they could do with their cattle whatever they want. And a part of them doing whatever they want with their cattle is identifying that those cattle belong to them. Therefore they have to put a branding on it. Today it's pretty much a tracking system, because the branding back then was a tracking system, but you weren't able to find your goods by tracking by any device like you can today. That's why if you had a neighbor or neighbors or people that didn't like you and they found your property and they saw your stamp on it, they were supposed to return it to you. So going back to the word stigma, right, in Galatians 6:17, from what I got, let me see, somebody put, oh yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, brother put it up. It says a mark, let me see something, make sure I got everything. Brothers are coming through in the clutch, the water. I can't really make out who this is. GMS Good Soldier, I think, 144. Says a mark pricked in or branded upon the body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves, ancient Oriental usage, which doesn't mean somebody with chinky eyes. Orient just means east.
East, yeah.
It says slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. And there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the token of their gods. So pretty much, that's what it was for. A branding was set up as an identifier. The micro C-hip is set up as an identifier and also a badge of ownership. Because you belong to this master now.
You're registered.
That's it.
That was the ancient registry.
Yep.
It came a point, if you didn't have that, basically you'd be put to death, you'd be outlawed from doing particular things within that kingdom.
That's it.
Or thrown in jail. So the same scenario is being set up here. As these elites, they've pretty much ordered all of the resources to themselves. All right, they're cutting off the middleman. All right, pretty much there's no longer a middle class. It's just rich and poor. All right, and after this next attack, whatever it may be, all right, they probably seize everybody's bank accounts. They probably, they basically take away electricity. And pretty much when the lights come back on, all right, you're going to have to register so that we know who's who, what's what, who's with us. There's too many terrorists. We'd allow too many. They created the perfect environment to bring about the peace and safety needed for people to call for it. Like I said, there were some devotees who stamped themselves with it on their own. We're looking, even as Sweden, people already, they say about 40,000 people were chipped. So there's people already with this device in them. They're doing it on their own.
Yeah.
Okay, because they understand that this is the new wave. There was a point where people was like, I'm not getting the Social Security number. That's the mark of the beast. After the Great Depression, people had those theories going on. There was a point where people said, I'm not getting the cell phone. I'm not getting the computer. Now it's pretty much you can't live without it.
That's it.
So the same concept is getting ready to happen with this chip.
That's it. So this is what we're witnessing. We're witnessing, the left-hand priesthood, hammering out the final touches on their temple, and the altar and their temple is pretty much going to be a global thing. That's why Yahushua said, he said, because you have kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So when you look up the word world and you look up the word earth, they both mean the same thing, synonymous. It means the whole entire inhabited earth, because it's going to be This is why they spoke about a new world order. This is why they spoke about a global order. That's why when you go and you watch videos or you watch the interaction, with the World Economic Forum, what is it? It's a global thing.
Yeah.
It's a global, infrastructure that's being put or placed around the world, which is the beast system. You want to say something?
Well, they're basically giving their marching orders, and when you listen to that devil Noah Yuval, I mean, he's bold, man.
Yep.
And basically, what he's telling these countries is, how are you going to move forward if you don't plan on integrating AI in these various different technologies that we have? Because and he called basically AI the new alien.
Yeah.
It's like basically you think you got a problem with illegal aliens. Well, the new alien is going to be AI, and basically it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
If you try to fight against it, this is his words. If you try to fight against it, you're going to lose. So basically, you may as well get down.
Lay down.
Or lay down.
That's it. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the movie Elysium. Remember, Matt Damon.
Yeah.
He like made a snide remark to the robot officer, and the robot officer popped him beside the head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These devils, they got this shit on lock.
Right.
And this is why Yahweh said, if except those days be shortened, there shall no flesh be left to be saved. Right. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So although we're in the fire, right? We are blessed because we know that the Lord is going to step in at some point to push this devil back. Like when they came to Yahushua in the garden, right? And they said, look, we're looking for Yahushua. He said, I'm he. And what happened? They all fell backwards.
They was like, oh shit.
That was the power. That's Yahushua just on a small scale showing them, look, you can't take me unless I let you take me. He told that to Pontius Pilate. You have no power over me. The only reason why you were able to take my life is because I lay it down. Because it was given to me of my Father to either take it or lay it down. And when he prayed and he heard no response from the Most High Yahweh, he said, okay, I know what I got to do. Let's go. Yeah. Prior to that, he was in heaviness. Because just imagine that. You are here teaching, but then what manner of death you're going to die.
You read Isaiah 53.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And you like fuck, and then it's like the closer you got to it, the more intense it got, and like the more the flesh started, that's why he told the disciples, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. But then when he didn't hear any response from Yahweh, what did he do? He was resolved in himself. Okay, no, I know what I got to do now. Let's go. And then from that point on, all of that shit went away because the angels came, they ministered to him, and all of that went away. All of that fear and everything just went away. But that was there as a comfort to us and let us know, look, he was in the flesh, just like we're in the flesh. So how can he be an example to us if he wasn't in the flesh, like we are? Right. He actually experienced what we experienced, except without sin.
Right. Because we have, we spirits on us. But, in the flesh, sometimes it's like, God damn, the robot come to your door, all of these what-if scenarios do pop up in your head. But we have the Holy Scriptures as a comfort. And see, the thing is, the serpent was able to have his way with the woman, but this time, there's a faithful woman that the Yahushua is going to come rescue his woman, because the faithful one. While the rest of you Israelites are basically giving in to the serpent, eating whatever he give you, there's been a faithful remnant crying out. Because like in the law, where if you were betrothed, you was to cry out. If another man was trying to come take you, you're supposed to be crying out that basically I have a husband. I'm already promised to somebody. And like Paul said, I've espoused you to one husband. So we're already promised to the Most High through Yahushua. So we should be crying out. And see, this time the Lord is not going to allow the serpent to have his way with the faithful woman. He's going to come and rescue her, man. And that's written throughout the Holy Scriptures. And we have that belief and faith. Because as you look at how this world is going, there's no other way out but a divine intervention in what's written in the Scriptures. Going up. We're going to need to go up. And that's written. So we have 100% faith that divine intervention is going to be, because the system he's setting up is really no way out. You're going to need miracles.
That's it. There's no, like in this system, you can get around. Because this system operates on credits and debits, but you could still use bartering. you can still use, dollars.
Black market.
The black market. But in the new system, you ain't gonna be able to because everything's gonna be online.
Yeah.
But this, I got that precept for you about the damsel.
Mm-hmm.
Deuteronomy 22 and 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto an husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then you shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and you shall stone them with stones, that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife, so thou shalt put away evil from among you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're crying out.
She was supposed to cry out.
Yeah, we're crying out like what happened, in Egypt. Jake was catching hell. They were crying to the Lord. And what did the Lord tell Moses? He said, look, I heard the cry, I heard the cry of Israel. I'm come to deliver them. I'm setting you up to deliver them out of there. 144.
I believe when you read down, it's to give the scenario where she cried out.
Yep.
And it freed her from guilt.
It says, verse 25, but if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. Because you had the city, and people will hear you in the city, but in the field out there, you wouldn't be able to hear. Right? It says, but unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man rises against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her.
See, in the city this time, the Lord ain't gonna allow him to take, because we got victory over the beast, his image, and his mark. None of the elect are gonna get chipped. But as you can see in that scenario in the law, the fact that she was crying out showed that she was saying, look, I already belong. Yeah. And this is what we're saying when we, going on the highways in the Bible, and we saying don't take the chip, don't take the VAX, all of these things we're basically saying, no, man, this temple belongs to our husband. Yeah. We're already promised to the Most High through Yahweh Shai. You ain't never gonna get it.
That's it, never gonna get it.
You can't have this.
That's it. Yeah, because we belong to Yahweh Bashem Shai. We're already spoken for.
All with a price.
That's it. Yahweh Shai already purchased it. What do you think he's coming back for? He ain't coming back for no beat up slut.
Right.
He's coming back for some purity.
That's it.
That's why it says that the men, what is it, Revelation 15, I believe it is, or 14, in whose mouth was found no guile.
That's it.
Why? Because they kept the doctrine that Yahweh Shai gave to them pure.
Yeah.
Right. So
they covered under that blood, which basically makes them virgins. The blood, and see, even in the law earlier in that chapter, we ain't got to get it. When a man tried to basically say his wife wasn't a virgin, and try to do away with her, the blood was basically her token out, because him lying like that could have got her put to death.
That's it.
But if the family comes and shows that blood, that basically covered her from guilt.
That's it.
From sin. So the blood of Yahweh Shai sort of covers us in that way as well.
That's it.
Where all of these accusations are getting ready to come against us.
Yeah.
All right, but through the blood, we're blameless, we're guilty, we're virgins.
Hey, well, the blood of Yahweh Shai is a token of our virginity.
That's it.
Wow.
Man, these scriptures are heavy.
Yeah. Hey, the brother, the elder Hawad put, as of mid-2025, 137 countries and currency unions representing 98% of global GDP are exploring or implementing central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, right? And the majority of the world, these major countries that operate doing business with America and operate online, they're all looking and dealing with some type of digital currency. So is that a coincidence? No. That the majority of the planet, all of these different nations and their countries are exploring or have explored or have some type of digital system or ID set up already in their country. That's not a coincidence. Don't you understand that the digital system is the first step to lock everything in? So once they lock everything in, now they can put, so now, well, we said you can't use this, that, and the other, but now you're going to have to use this. Now you can't use cash. Now you can't use this. Now you have to have this particular device in you, which is a micro chip. Otherwise, you ain't going to be able to function in this system.
You're not human.
Yeah.
Basically.
So these people are they're in a quagmire. That's why the scriptures say, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times and strength of salvation. Because we have the comfort of knowing that we're about to be delivered from the second Egypt. And when we were delivered from the first Egypt, remember the Egyptian army was gaining on Jake.
Yeah, it was on their way.
Yeah, they were on their ass. And you know that Jake was probably getting nervous and scared. And what Yahweh Shai do? He hit the reverse button on the chariot, and then went behind the camp of Israel, and then brought the chariot down, hovered down, and came between the camp of Israel and the Egyptian army. That was a divine intervention at that time. Then he hit the switch and turned off all the lights in the back, but just left the lights on the front. Come on, man. You know, so just imagine how great and magnificent that was, that to this day, people are still talking about it.
Right.
But this particular event that's coming is going to far surpass that. It's going to surpass that. It's going to be so much spectacular than that's not even going to be remembered.
They don't even talk about it anymore.
Nah. You know? And in the midst of that, why did the Lord do all of that? Why did the Lord harden Pharaoh's heart? So that his name can be exalted and his power made known through and he said, I'm gonna be had in honor. You know, I'm gonna be honored in Pharaoh. Meaning when he take his ass down, the honor and glory is gonna go to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You know? So here it is now, we're about to be delivered again from modern day Egypt, and you don't think the Lord's gonna have his name magnified? And you got these guys at the IUIC playing around with those games? With those names?
Playing games.
Yeah.
You're talking about Yahweh.
Oh my goodness! When I heard that, man, I was infuriated. I was mad as fuck when I heard that shit.
It's hard for me to even look at them.
Yeah.
You know, because there was a name tied to that deliverance out of Egypt.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, when we go to a name, it's tied to a reputation.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yahweh ain't did that. That was Yahweh.
That's it.
And he did it by what? His son Yahweh Shai. He did it by his angel.
That's
it.
it.
You got a lot of people who go into that story of what happened in ancient Egypt, but they don't want to give the angel his credit in the story. It was an angel sent.
That's it.
That the Most High sent a representative.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the reason we were able to do all of those, you know, win all of those wars, even as we went through the wilderness. That was the reason the Red Sea was split. It was that angel whose presence basically, you know, guided us and aided us, man.
Yep.
And we're calling on that same power.
That's it. And that's why Rahab told the two spies what she said. She said that we have heard of the fame of the Lord and how he's with you, and we all are faint. All the nations were faint when they knew that Israel was coming through. That's why they didn't want to go through their land, because they were afraid that the Lord was going to jack their ass up.
Yep.
You know, and that's when the name, because she even said the Lord Yahweh, it's all caps.
Yep.
So that name, you know, at that point when the deliverance of Egypt happened, that's when the Most High Yahweh's name was made famous. Prior to that, it was known, but it was only known to a few. Like Abraham knew the name, you know, Seth knew the name, because it said that at that point, that's when men began to call upon the name of Yahweh.
Right. And Abraham had to be reacquainted.
Yep.
He heard of the Most High.
Yep.
But once the Lord opened himself up to him, he understood this was the God of my fathers.
Right.
This is the God that brought the flood. Okay, you know, and that same process is taking place with us.
That's it.
We knew of the flood, we knew of the Bible, but we didn't know Yahweh. We didn't have a intimate relationship. And intimacy doesn't mean sex. It means secrets being opened up.
Right.
You become vulnerable with one.
Right.
You know?
You let your guard down, so to speak. And that's what Revelation 3 is all about. When Yahweh said, "I will sup with him."
That's right.
And when you look up the word "sup," it's to to let you come into their most intimate feelings or their most intimate thoughts.
Right.
You know, it's a showing, like when before Yahushua was crucified and he was talking to his disciples, he pretty much made known to them, you know, the mysteries, certain, you know. Then they said, "What? Now we know that you speak unto us plainly and speak as no parables."
Right.
You know, and then he said, what he said? He said, I don't call you servants anymore. I call you friends.
Mm-hmm.
For a servant knoweth not the will of his master, but you know.
That's right.
You know, so we are privileged in this time to have such great knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, insight, and foresight, as you like to use all the time, to the things that are coming, so that we can be prepared and braced for the impact.
That's right.
You know, that's why it says wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of that time, the strength of salvation.
Right.
Let me see. The brothers, putting up some precepts. I'm gonna read some of these precepts here. Let me read this because it's going along right along what we're reading. We're speaking about Jeremiah 16:14. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, Yahweh Bashem Shai, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the North America, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land. And we're not going back to the land by getting no passport, or fleeing America, none of that, because the whole world is going to rock to and fro. So it doesn't matter where you're at on the earth. You get touched anywhere.
Yeah.
So another brother put, China already has their system Skynet set up, which allows them to identify everybody using the AI and analytics and data centers, and store all the information. Also, the social credit system, and that's what it's about. Social credit system is going to be what's going to put the last nail, so to speak, in the coffin to cement their new world order.
Yep, and they're going to tie it to carbon. So basically, your carbon footprint and what you're allowed to have is going to be tied to how good of a citizen you are. All right, and basically, our credit will be horrible.
Yeah,
because we cursing this place out. We would be done.
Oh yeah.
If this devil was able to complete this system, because this is basically where we are. Either he wins and is able to set this up and get the victory, or a miracle comes.
That's it.
Because we're on the earth, we're in the belly of the beast. So if he sets up a system to where your social credit is based upon, and what you're allowed to have is based upon them thinking you're a so-called good person, and what's good to the devil?
Right.
Evil.
Yep.
So we're going to need what? Provision. We're going to need a miracle like what happened in the wilderness, what happened in Egypt, where the Lord fed the children of Israel 40 years. We need that type of power.
Yep.
We don't believe that Edom is the end-all, be-all of how we can get food.
No.
Right now, you go to the grocery store. Right now, we go to the enemy and want of all things. Some people grow their own food, but once he shuts everything down, we're going to have to rely on the provision that has already been set. Because the scriptures say we're going to eat.
Yep.
We're not going to starve. He didn't bring us this far to starve us out. So miracles are getting, and if that ain't coming to no low-level believer.
No.
Miracles are coming for high-level believers.
Because it's going to be a hard time right now. It's going to be the time of Jacob's trouble.
Yes.
And the only thing that's going to navigate us through this is the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Shai.
Yes.
I got something to back you up. This is Isaiah chapter 10 and 20, because you said we're not relying on Esau or something along those lines.
Yep.
Right? So this is Isaiah 10 and 20. And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob, which are the elect, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, which is who? Esau.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But shall stay upon Yahweh Bashem Shai, the Holy One of Israel, in truth.
That word stay means lean on for support. See, there's going to come a point where we're going to be fully sustained by the Lord. We are now, but it's through this system. Once we no longer have access to this system, we're going to have to tap into another bag.
Yep.
And that's where it's going, that's what Egypt, when we left out of Egypt, the wilderness was basically the Lord testing Jake to get Egypt out of their system.
Yeah.
And we're going to go through a kind of like similar scenario, but it's going to be different. We can't say where we're going to be, how it's going to be.
Yep.
But in that time, the Lord fed Jake, outside of the system of Egypt.
Yeah.
What they were used to.
Yeah. There's going to be a withdrawal. Like when you're addicted to something, and then it's taken away from you. You go through those withdrawals.
Yeah.
That's what the Lord is doing right now for us, slowly but surely, getting the system out of our system. And the Apostle Paul. This is why the Apostle Paul said, the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. So we are here. We know we have to be here. We have to function, operate, use the word, not abusing it. But at the end of the day, we know that this place is going to be destroyed. We're not trying to build anything here. We're just pretty much existing, surviving here until Yahweh Shai comes back to deliver us and give us. So it goes on to say, The remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty power. For though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. The consumption decree shall overflow with righteousness. So the only reason why the elect are going to be delivered out of here is because of the Most High's word. Because he doesn't break, his word, his name, his word, not even for his great name's sake. That's what that scripture means. He's not going to go against his word, not even for his great name's sake. Not that, the laws are over the Most High's name. No. What is over the Most High's name is reputation. He's not going to break that for nobody else. Yes,
Yeah, because if it doesn't happen, that gives him a bad name.
Exactly.
So he puts his word above his name in the sense that we're going to know that he is by the thing he performs.
Yep.
Through his only begotten.
It gets no higher.
Yep.
Verse 27 says, and it shall come to pass in that day that his burden shall be taken away from off thy shoulder, and his yoke from off thy neck, and the yoke shall be destroyed because of the anointing.
Wow. And
that's that oil that the wise virgins have. The 5 wise virgins have the oil. The 5 foolish virgins spent the oil. So this is why you see these guys, spinning out of control, spiraling out of control.
Yeah.
Because they lost the oil. The mechanism breaks down when the oil leaks out.
Mm-hmm.
You want to say something? They're spiraling out of control. That's why you see, oil spill on aisle 6.
Oh, aisle 6, yeah. All that so-called fame and being the most popular, and all of the things. It's gonna. The word I'm looking for, it's escaping me.
It's not going to end well.
It's not going to end well. It's not going.
You're not going to prosper.
It's not going to mean anything in that day.
No.
The faith is ultimately, if you spent your grace period trying to be cute, boasting in your fringes and all of this, when the hard times come, what are you going to have?
Yeah.
You don't have the names. Even if you say you know the names, if you don't really believe and you've been BSing, it's going to show in that day.
That's it. Well, that's why Yahushua said, not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter to the kingdom. Because you're going to have those at the last minute, once they see that what they've been scoffing is the truth, they're going to, we've always been down with you, Yahushua. And Yahushua going to tell you, depart from me, you that work iniquity. I never knew you. You guys are playing a dangerous game, man. Especially when you mess with those names and play games with those names. Anything else? All right, so with that, we pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Until the next time we say, Shalom.